What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing our end of week market update. We're looking at sealed products, singles and slabs over $1,000. Before we get into the video, guys, I do want to say I'm currently not at home, so if the audio sounds a little bit different, it's a little bit noisier, bear with me. I am going on vacation. Hopefully within 48 hours I'll be in Santa Marta, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be a little bit quieter there. I know when I get to Bogota that's probably going to be noisy, but it's just going to be a couple weeks. Bear with me. We have a lot of interesting things to cover in this video. It seems like the smart money in One Piece currently is moving from a lot of the top singles to maybe some of the top sealed products, and we're going to talk about that in the first couple minutes. But don't get me wrong, there are still some massive sales going on some of the top cards. We're seeing some very interesting black labels this week as well. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Starting off, we have a white bottom booster box here, $1,325 USD through a fairly large seller here, Tabletop Culture out of the United States. I think this is going to be very common moving forward. You're going to see here in a minute with a sealed case of the white bottom selling as well. I just don't think they're going to stay around the 1K range for long. Also, just reaching out to a couple of the sellers on the platform who had sealed cases, very firm on price, where they're at around like 12, 13K. So there's just no room downwards. People who have the boxes right now, they don't want to get rid of them. Continue to keep an eye on Romance Dawn. We also had a lot here of 4 EBO1 booster boxes that sold $1,850 or best offer. According to 130 Point, it sold for $1,700, so that's about $425 per booster box before shipping and tax. And then a massive sale here, guys. I saw this, I had to do a double look. I couldn't believe a blue bottom booster box is selling for 5.1K USD. It does have an acrylic case. It is a very minty box. It looks like it's in great condition. This is ideal if you want to be buying these expensive booster boxes, but still 5.1K. It seems like we just started to see sales at $4,000 on TCG Player. Now they're jumping up to over 5. And there were other boxes that sold for about 5,000 or best offer over the past 7 days. I think this probably was the highest one. I saw a couple around 45, 4,600, but we are moving up very fast. I don't know how long this is going to last. I do assume that a lot of this is new money coming into the hobby, people wanting to build positions in Romance Dawn and some of these other booster box sets, but we will continue tracking this moving forward. We also had a couple cases of OPO5 sell this week. This one sold for $10,000 or best offer. It didn't go for $10,000 on 130 Point, 5.7K. So we're getting closer to 6K fairly consistently on OPO5. I think there was another case that sold at like 5.2 or 5.3. You can still find loose boxes in like the 390 to 400 range, but once we look at the cases, we're starting to push like $475, $480 minimum, even up to like $500 per booster box inside that sealed case. And then again, the final sealed item here, we have a Romance Dawn white bottom booster box case, $14,000 USD. I actually think there was one up for $13,000, so it's kind of surprising that this is the one that's sold. That said, I think these are going to continue moving upwards. I don't think we're going to see these stay in this range for long. I wouldn't be surprised if they reach like 15, 16 by the end of the year. Now, before we look at singles and slabs, I did want to jump in here and say if you guys are enjoying the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video. Also, no channel sponsors, but I will show my own stuff. I have a link to my market spreadsheet down here. You can use the code ONEPIECE for 30% off. And then for you guys looking to take your TCG investing more seriously, I do consultation calls. So if you're looking to set up a business, buying and selling, if you're looking to build a very large position, I can help you with any of that and everything in between. Now, moving into the cards, we will start off with a GARP. This is a Treasure Cup Top 16 card. It looks like the PSA 10 pop is 113, total pop 121. This went for $1,100. So I figured I'd throw it in the video. Garp's not really the most popular character in One Piece. I think he's really cool, but we don't see his cards show up too often in these videos, so it's a great way to start it off here. And following that up, we do have the Luffy. I believe this is from the Super Pre-Release Starter Deck, BGS 10. This went for $1,146. We also had a Gold Shanks. This is from OP13, $1,150. This is definitely coming down a lot. I think the initial sales we saw were like 1.6, even up to around $2,000 USD. And there is a trend, even with like the five elders, I saw a lot of the five sell for 2,000 or best offer. So we're now consistently seeing sales below $2,000 on those five cards. That said, there's still an incredible amount of value in a lot of these OP13 cards. I'm still very bullish on the sealed product. We also have the campaign pack Luffy here, $1,154. After release, this was going for like $850, $900. It seems like we're now back over $1,000 on this card. We also had a Black Label Nami here. Very cool card. I love this SP, by the way. I think it's a great artwork. This went for 1,500 euros or best offer. I threw it into 130 point. It looks like it sold for 1,300 USD, but again, this might be a scenario where 130 point still has problems with the currency. This might be 1,300 euros. So either way, it's going for 1,300 euros or 1,300 USD. It's still a very expensive SP. Of course, we wouldn't have a weekend update video without showing the Dodgers Luffy $1,380.55. That is important for this PSA 10. A lot of these still selling in like the 12 to 1,400 range. Black Label Boa Hancock SP from OP09, $1,400 USD. This is also the Japanese version. If this was the English version, we'd probably be somewhere around like 3,000, 3,500, maybe up to $4,000 USD. Hopefully, we'll see one of those show up fairly shortly. Zorojuro here, this is the OP09 SP, and this sold in a BGS 10 Black Label for 1,500 euros. But similar to the other SP here, I don't know if this is 1,400 USD or 1,400 euros. Either way, still very expensive for these SPs. And I think this is a good thing for the hobby as well. If a lot of these SPs do start to become fairly collectible, people are picking up cards outside the mangas. That was something I said for a really long time, that I think Bandai needs to put out something into their sets between the manga and the SPs. Now, if the SPs do it, they become relevant cards, people want to collect them, that's fine. I do like the fact that they're now starting to put in like the gold and silver cards, and I think them leaning in to the collectability side of the hobby is never going to be a bad thing. Now, after that, we have the English Luffy. This is from OP11, the manga, $1,624.89. Few of these still selling like the 1,400 range as well. This was definitely the highest sale I saw over the past 7 days. We also have a Gear 2 English BGS 10 Black Label. Super cool card here. 1,479 euros through Slab auction. I believe they're out of Germany. That's approximately $1,703 USD. And it's only going to get crazier, guys. We're only about halfway through this video. So after that, we have the Gold SP Blackbeard from OP12. $1,900, not too much to say there. We have a Soga King manga from OP03, Pillars of Strength, $1,999 USD, guys. Almost 2K for the Soga King manga. Absolutely insane. We also have the Boa Hancock manga here, PSA 10, $2,000. You can see 1,570 of these in a PSA 10. We also have a very interesting official event top prize card here. Charlotte Linland, Big Mom, $2,200. PSA 10 pop, 29. Total pop, 33. So a very scarce card playing into the market price of it. And then after that, we have the Ace. This is the Paramount War version. This went for $2,200 in a PSA 10. I kind of expected this card to be a little bit higher at this point, just because even like pre-boom, I feel like this was in like the 1,500, 1,600 range in a PSA 10, so I just feel like it hasn't appreciated that much compared to a lot of the other mangas. Now following that, we have a Boa Hancock SP BGS 10 Black Label. This is the '04 version, Kingdoms of Intrigue. $3,000 or best offer. It went for $2,650 USD. Definitely a very beautiful Boa Hancock card. We also have the Red Sabo manga in English, 4,200 USD or best offer. This one went for $3,050. The last sale we saw was November 14th, so last Friday. That was 2,800 USD. So even after release, more of these come to market, it's still holding fairly strong. And you'll see that trend continue with, I believe, the Ace and the Luffy are showing up on the list this week. Then we have the Silver Luffy from OP11, $3,050 in a PSA 10. You will see the gold version again showing up later in the video. Serialized Ace in English, 4,875 Australian in a PSA 10, which is approximately $3,147 USD. Then after that, probably my favorite card on the list this week, something we don't see show up too often. We have the Shanks. This is the PSA exclusive promo card here. This went for $3,150 in a BGS 10 black label. So I believe the PSA 10 version, fairly common, couple $100 or less. This one, very, very expensive. I imagine it is quite a low pop. Might even be pop one. If anybody knows, definitely feel free to leave a comment down below. We also have another SP black label here. This is the Luffy from OP13, $3,250. I imagine this is probably the first one on the market, or like one of two. So very expensive sale here out the gate. It is a beautiful card as well. This is probably one of my more favorited SPs that Bandai has put out. I think it's a decent pose of Luffy. I don't remember seeing any other card that they put out in the past that has that pose. And then I just like the colorways as well. I think it all fits together very nicely. Now following that, we have the Sanji manga, PRBO2, PSA 10, $3,350. The population report on this is going up. We have 79 PSA 10s and 91 total pop. Then we have the Shanks manga from Romance Dawn. This seems to be trending upwards as well. We're now up to $3,425 for the most recent sale of this card in English in a PSA 10. We almost never see this card, by the way, before we get onto that Nami. We almost never see this card show up in a BGS 10. So I'm really curious to see the next time that card comes to sale, if it's going to be over like $4,000, $4,500. I think that's probably realistic considering where a lot of the other BGS 10s are now at this point. You'll see a couple of them showing up here in a minute as well. BGS 10 Black Label Nami. This is from Pillars of Strength. This went for $4,000 USD or best offer. It did go for $3,500 offer taken. Still very expensive card. Not my favorite Nami artwork, but I can't imagine there's a huge population of that out there. Then we have the Luffy promo. This from 2023 CS Event Pack PSA 10. $5,000 or best offer. A best offer of $3,700 was accepted on this card. Following that one, we have another promo here. This is the Nami Championship card. I can't remember the last time we saw this. This one does not come up for auction too often. BGS 10 non-black label, $3,950 USD. It's actually a pretty good artwork too. I'm kind of surprised that this card doesn't show up more. I know we see the New Year's event one show up a decent amount, and I think there's like the Japanese version or Chinese version that shows up, but yeah, I imagine in the future this card might show up a little bit more. I think compared to some of those, at least in my opinion, it's a better artwork, but maybe a lot of other people will disagree. And speaking of the New Year event Nami card, right after that, PSA 10, $4,050. So this is a great comparison. I think this artwork is better. I know some people probably like this one, but I think it's just cooler with all the colors and everything. Again, just my opinion. If you guys disagree, that's absolutely fine. Art is subjective. Very interesting sale here, though. We have all of the 5 elders from the Gorosei God Pack, PSA 10, sequential set in English, $4,050. To me, it's kind of surprising that it's already this low, and this is a sequential set, PSA 10s. I think that if you want something like this for your collection, just hold off, guys. It seems at this point, there's going to be a lot of those out there. The price is coming down on them, and I really just don't think there's going to be the market a lot of people think there is going to be to sustain a certain price on these. They will have some level of value to them. They're great artworks. They are fairly difficult cards to pull, all things considered, but buying a set like this at $4,050, I just feel like you're going to be able to get this cheaper in the future. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I tend to be conservative, especially when it comes to buying a lot of the top cards. Now, the EBO2 Luffy here, the manga, this is probably one of my favorite cards in the anime as well. $5,200 or best offer. This one went for $4,800. It seems like the BGS 10 copy of this card is pulling away from the PSA 10, which is still consistently selling around like $3,500, $3,600 USD. And also another thing to note is if this card continues to run, keep an eye on the EBO2 booster boxes and the EBO2 booster box cases. If the cards inside are moving up in price, it's only going to be a matter of time before we see people start to buy out the sealed products. And actually, I was doing a consult with someone yesterday, and I did recommend for them to get some EBO2, and they want some help trying to find like the cheapest option. So when I was looking on Shopify in the United States, a lot of stores are already at $235, $240 USD. I think there's like the odd store that maybe had like 1 or 2 boxes in stock, so not case quantity, around like $200. So a lot of stores moving their price up basically in line with TCG Player at this point, which normally we tend to see stores like your online LGS be below TCG Player by 10, 15, maybe even 20% at times. So when that is very close, that's a telltale sign to me that we're going to see that price on TCG Player continue to move up in the short term. Now, a few more here to close out the video. We have the regular Luffy manga from OP13, not the red one, $4,995 in a PSA 10. This is one of the first on the market. PSA 10 pop 7, total pop 9. So if this grading rate continues, it's going to be a fairly low gem rate for a manga card. Now, this is a very small sample size. I imagine this is probably going to be closer to like 80, 85 in the future if it's in line with a lot of the other manga cards. But at the same time, I feel like there's more OP13 out there on the market, and it will be interesting to see what happens to the gem rates of a lot of the cards in One Piece in the newer sets if Bandai does have to ramp up production of certain products, because we all know they've kept their supply fairly minimal, all things considered, over the past couple years. And by doing so, they've given themselves the best opportunity to produce high quality cards. Now, if they have to increase that, if they have to double it, triple it, who knows? That could eventually make some of the gem rates of future cards come down, but only time will tell about that. Bandai does seem to value producing very high quality cards, so I imagine that will still be a priority for them in the future. Now, after that, we have serialized Luffy. This doesn't show up too often in the videos, maybe every like third or fourth time I record one of these. This is the English version, serialized out of 1,000. This one for 10K or best offer. Didn't go close to that. $5,000. The last time we saw it, October 19th, and it went for 4,600. So we've seen a little bit of growth since then, but nothing super crazy. Now, I will need help on this card, guys. I'm telling you right now. This is, I believe, Japanese serialized Nami. I know absolutely nothing about this card. I think I had a couple people reach out to me asking about this. I'm not super educated about the foreign markets. I don't know if this is an exclusive artwork. I don't even know where this came from. So you guys, maybe you live in Asia, you just know more about the TCG. Educate us down below where this came from, because it's a very expensive card. $5,300 or best offer, according to 130 Point. It sold for full asking price of $5,300. So maybe this is one that we do need to keep our eyes on moving forward. I know I say all the time, I'm not a huge fan of Japanese and other languages, but there are promos that are exclusive. There are other artworks that are exclusive to different languages outside of English, and those can potentially do very well. And this could be one of those cards where it's a popular character, it seems like it's a fairly decent artwork. Depending on how scarce it is, it could be a decent play for some people. Now, a couple more here. Alternate Art Luffy from Romance Dawn, pre-errata version, 7K or best offer. This went for $6,000. I think this was up to around 10K at one point. It's now settled around $6,000 based on the past couple sales we've seen. Same thing with the Oda signature card from OP05, the alternate art PSA 10, 10K or best offer. It went for $6,000 as well. So even though these aren't at all-time highs, it's good to see that these two cards have indeed stabilized in a range higher than where they were previously at. The gold Luffy, however, from OP11, $6,200 or best offer. I believe it did sell $6,200 full asking price. Last week we also had a sale at $6,200. So still very surprising to me that this card is this expensive. I really thought it was going to drop more than it has. The Ace manga here, the red one from OP13, $6,200. PSA 10 pop is 10. Total pop is 11. And we also have the red manga Luffy from OP13, $8,500 or best offer. This was a raw copy that sold, and it sold for $6,750. I think that the seller probably could have got more money for this card if they took better photos. It's really dark. It's difficult to see the card. If you guys have been watching the videos for a long time, you know I always recommend trying to take the best photos possible. If you're selling PSA graded copies, you can probably just use scans, but at minimum, you should probably set up a light box and be able to capture basically any imperfection, but also show off the card to the best of your ability, because that will affect how people perceive it and how much they're willing to pay for it. So just me ranting a little bit there. We have OPO5 Luffy, $7,300 USD in a PSA 10. This is another card that has stabilized. I think at its high, we were close to, I don't know, $9,000 USD. The BGS 9.5 Red Luffy here, we saw this show up earlier this week. I just talked about it a little bit. I do still think that this is a fairly expensive sale for a 9.5 because, you know, you could have just bought the Red Luffy here, a raw copy for sub 7K. And the final two cards here, we have the Super Pre-Release Winter Luffy PSA 10, $8,600 USD, crazy sale. And then finally, we have a BGS 10 Black Label Monkey D Luffy. This is from OPO5, but it's the PRBO1 reprint, not the original, $10,601 USD through Z&G Emporium. I do want to point out as well, I didn't bring the listing up. There was, when I was going through results for solds, a BGS 10 Black Label Nami that sold for $10,000 USD. However, when I tried to pull up the listing page, it couldn't be found, so I don't know if it actually sold, if it was actually paid for. According to 130 Point, it was paid 10K. That was like the offer taken or whatever. But just because I couldn't pull up the sales page, I decided not to include it in the video. But that's really all I want to get to this week, guys. It seems like the sealed product, especially the more desirable sets, your OPO5, your Romance Dawn, which we're probably not getting any more Romance Dawn, so people are really loading up on it right now. That's kind of where the smart money is going, it seems, or at least the market consensus is that a lot of these top cards, like the Luffys, the Namis, etc., are fairly valued, and there just isn't any play on them in the short term. So you guys let me know, what was your favorite auction of the week? Again, if you got some value of this, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a ton. Also, if you are planning to shop eBay, TCG Player, Hobbiesville, I do have affiliate links down below. They're free and easy to use. All you have to do is click on it before you do your shopping. I'll get a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you, so it's a free and easy way to support the channel. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.